Hi, everybody. Stephanie Kraft here. Today, I want to talk about soul agreements, so karmic relationships and soul contracts. Some people call them soul contracts. I prefer to call them soul agreements. So let's start with talking about the concept of the soul and soul groups. I'm going to share with you what I have gathered, and it's not that I claim to know how it all works. These are just theories, ideas, and what I feel it seems like it is. So because I've been doing life between lives, hypnotherapy sessions for I don't know, like almost 20 years or almost 20 years, maybe 18. And it's we've gathered information from those sessions. So basically, you are a soul. And when you're incarnated, you're part of that soul energy is in your body, animating your life. And the remainder, not the remainder, but a portion of your soul is always on the other side. And you can have simultaneous incarnations, and we all do. But that's a separate topic. But it means that not all of your soul energy is here in the body, not all of your whole soul energy is on the other side. It's it's in all of those places at the same time, like other lives, this lifetime, and the other side. So as a soul, you have a soul group or a soul family. The soul group would be souls that you incarnate with in lifetimes where you have traveled throughout time. Even though there's no such thing as time on the other side, we have linear time here on earth to live out lives. And so you and your soul group members like to incarnate together because you set up roles where you will teach each other things, experience things with your soul family. And let's just say you have like 100 souls in your soul group. Everybody's soul group is different. Don't take the number 100 and think that that's normal or common. I have no idea how many souls are in soul groups. I mean, when I do cross people over to the other side under hypnosis, I do ask, who's in your soul group? How many people are showing up? How many souls are there? And it's usually a small number. Maybe like they get to encounter 2 or 4 or 12. It's not even usually 12, but it's usually a small number. But the point is that there might be many more, and it's just unnecessary to meet with all of them in a session like that, because your soul is really only going to give you what is important at that time. And it's interesting because sometimes when people do those sessions and cross over, they might see souls that they know and they are reunited with and very happy to be with again, who they do not know in this lifetime. So that's always interesting. But a lot of the time we do reunite with souls that we do know, talking about in those sessions, that we can then relate to why they might explain why they're playing that certain role or what you're teaching each other. So you have a soul group. This could be a variety of numbers of souls. You usually have like common themes that you're working on. You might be in more than one soul group. So for example, if there's a soul group of truth, you might be in a group with those souls and they're incarnated. Some of the soul group members of the soul group of truth are incarnated in this lifetime, and you might know some of them. You might know 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or you might know more than that. You might know a larger group. These soulmates, anybody who's in your soul group is a soulmate. This is the same thing. Soul family, soulmate. And those soulmates could be friends, lovers, partners, spouses, children, siblings, aunts, uncles, any family member, co-workers, bosses, teachers, friends, anybody that you know in any role. And you have decided before the incarnation what what the interaction is going to be about in this lifetime. Sometimes we teach each other things, sometimes we give each other experiences, sometimes soulmates are our enemies because we don't like them or they've done something to hurt us. Hurt. We can never be hurt as souls, but we feel the hurt as humans. But it's an experience and there's a reason for it. And the reasons are varied. You're going to have to come up with the reasons that things happen to you, but these are the roles that soulmates play in your life. So you might be in another soul group of, let's say, justice. And so you might be in, like I said, more than one soul group. So it's possible to do that if you're working on multiple themes in a lifetime, or in lifetimes, because you're doing these types of lives many times to really learn the ins and outs of themes. So your soul isn't just, it's not limited to one soul group. You can meet with all those soul members in the soul group of truth, and then you can also go over to your soul group of justice and work those themes out. And you could be in one incarnation with, like, maybe a few people from the soul group of truth and a few from the soul group of justice. So those are just two examples. You can have different purposes, right? There are, what we have on Earth. We have scientists, teachers, we have people who stand up for, human rights. We have artists, creative, like, people. And so your soul group is like I said, just the themes that you're working on developing and learning about deeply. Okay, so soul groups, same thing as soul family, same thing as soul mates. And then soul contracts, people call them soul contracts. I call them soul agreements, because contracts are like firm, and our soul agreements are actually a little bit more flexible. So there's a general idea, like, let's say one of your soulmates is going to teach you about unconditional love. Well, that's a broad topic and there are many ways to do it, but the two of you have worked out ways, potential ways that the lesson's going to go down. But once you come into an incarnation, there's a certain amount of free will within the parameters of the soul's will. So, within that life path, multiple choices are available. And so you and your soulmates, but in this case, we're talking about two souls who have agreed. The one soul said, I'm going to teach you about unconditional love. And the other one is going to receive that lesson. And it could be harsh. It could be like, how do you get to unconditional love? Well, that person could commit some huge, crime against a family member of yours, or steal from you, or, who knows? I mean, that, it could bring up things like forgiveness and acceptance and tolerance and love, but that are really hard to get to when something bad happens, right? But that's how we learn. And so that person could seem like your enemy, or that person could be your child, or that person could be your spouse. And so it's, there might be an easier path to unconditional love. It might be easy or it might be hard. It just depends on where you are as a soul, your evolution, and in what ways you want to learn. You could choose a lifetime to learn the easy way about unconditional love. You could choose a lifetime that's hard to learn that. And you might challenge yourself as a soul. So when you're in an incarnation, there's flexibility with the soul agreement. And we are So it's interesting. We're not really solid. Nothing is solid. This is kind of getting into quantum physics, but we humans are blinking off and on, in and out of this reality many, many times per second. So we are spending like half of our time on the other side. So we're blinking there and back here. But it's so fast we can't see it and we don't know what. For us, it's a continuity of life experience. Also, when we're sleeping at night, we go back to the inner realms, the spiritual realms. So both when we're awake, we're blinking in and out, and when we're sleeping, we go. So what I'm trying to say is that every day we can meet with our soul family, our soulmates, our soul group, soul members, every day to rework, to have meetings, to discuss how it's going with the roles on Earth. And then readjustments could be made. Oh, okay, she made that choice. Okay, now let me make that other choice, or let's interact in this way to make it harder or easier or whatever. So it's not stagnant and it's not static. It's dynamic, changing, evolving. As you're living your life, you're having meetings on the inner planes with your soulmates, ongoing, to rework the story. And so that's why I don't really call it a soul contract, because this contract is like, we're going to sign on the dotted line. We must do it this way. When in actuality, it's malleable. So a lot of people talk about like karmic relationships, and all of your relationships with your soul group are karmic, unless there's a new member that entered your soul group that's never been with you before with that group. I've never heard of that happening like in any sessions, but I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just I've never heard of it. But I'm saying that your relationships with the people in your soul group are karmic because you have had experiences with them before. Karmic means cause and effect, and karmic means that you've had experience with that soul. So there's karma. Karma is neutral. It's not good or bad. Karma is just cause and effect. So karma it's kind of like baggage, but not negative. It means like, I've had experience with you before. That's it. It can be positive. It can be like good stuff, bad stuff, combination. It's always going to be a combination because we play different roles for each other in lifetimes. Just a little side note, because I know a lot of twin flames watch my channel. If you've been watching me, I don't subscribe to the twin flame theories that are out there in the world. I'm unique. I have my own unique ways of seeing things. Unique to me, of course, there might be people who see things the way I do as well. But I hear people talking about their karmic, and I hate that because somebody made up that term and people clung onto it, and it's not real. Meaning that what I mean is it's real because everybody that you're deeply involved with is a karmic soulmate, but I don't like labeling like a partner, that's my karmic partner, because it makes no sense. Every single partner is your karmic partner. All twin flames are karmic relationships. All soulmate relationships are karmic relationships. So every single twin flame is a karmic, heavily, heavily karmic relationship because you have had other lifetimes together. You have had other experiences together that are always intense. Twin flames are the most intense connections. And so they're heavily karmic. Soulmates, they're heavily karmic because you have had lifetimes together. So it just means experience. If I meet somebody new and I've never met them before in any lifetime ever, there's no karma there. it's not a karmic relationship. There's no charge, there's no intensity, because there's no history. That's all karma is. So everybody in your soul group is a karmic partner. And you have work, you have things to heal and work through. Not all relationships are going to need work or to heal, right? Some, come in together in already healed, or those two souls have already done a lot of that kind of work in other lifetimes. And maybe in this lifetime, it's for play and enjoyment and fun and ease. So it's always a variety. You can never label it as one thing. It's a variety between souls, the way they work things out. So the reason that some of these soulmate or twin flame relationships can be so intense is because of the karma. So it could be that you have had very difficult or traumatic, extreme experiences in other lifetimes together. And then you come into this lifetime, and when you meet that person, you feel an intensity. You can feel like immediate love or attraction for someone, and that is coming from another lifetime because you know that soul. And so sometimes you can be in a karmic relationship, like with a twin flame or a soulmate. Let's say it could be a romantic relationship. That's an easy example to give. It doesn't have to be. There could be other types of relationships that go through this, but it's almost like you have no control over the intensity of the relationship, the obsession, the focus, like thinking about that person, or like I said, obsessing, or just like having a very intense feeling about that person, and maybe you don't want it, or it's prolonged. And a lot of twin flames experience this too, a lot of soulmates experience this. But it's that the reason that you can't control it, the reason that it can be so intense, is that you have made an agreement with that soul prior to incarnating that you're going to, teach and learn, experience certain things with each other that we don't remember. And we have to go through the whole relationship with that person until the learning is done, until we've gotten to the point that we had decided to prior to the incarnation. And we don't really always know what that is, but it usually stems from something that happened in another lifetime. So we're trying to complete something, or we're trying to do it over again and do it better, do it over again and learn something different. And so a lot of people are like, I don't want this. I don't know why I'm so attached to this person. This is so unhealthy, or, dysfunctional, toxic, whatever, or it's not working out, but they can't get out of it. They stay stuck in it. And it's of no fault really of their own. It's that the karma is playing out. The karma needs to heal, clear. They still need to learn something, or they could have already learned it, but stay stuck in it, unbeknownst to them. Why? But it's because the other person still needs to learn something, heal something, clear something, or teach some, well, not teach, like let's say one person's already learned everything and got everything out of that soul agreement that they were supposed to, but that intensity stays and they don't know how to get out of it and they feel stuck in it. And that's because the other one is still in the process of learning, still in the process of growing, experiencing what was meant to happen between the two. And the one who's healed or ready to be released will not be released from the situation until the other one is ready for that. So when the other one gets it, whatever it is, then the other one can be released from it. So the karma has healed, it's cleared. They've both been released from it finally. So sometimes you might be asking yourself, I don't understand why I'm in this situation. Like, I know better, or I've learned this before, or whatever, and it doesn't like match your alignment or where you think you are. And it's because you're still doing a favor for the other soul that you've agreed to do this dance with in this life. So soul agreements are like that. They keep you bound to someone until the souls agree, like, okay, both of them have accomplished what they wanted to, and then you can move on. And that's why, relationships are always changing. They don't last forever. Some do. Some, like marriages, for example, last until the people die, but a lot of relationships don't. And it's because, we're here to learn, and some people's agreements are not lifelong or not meant to be forever. So don't blame yourself. Don't judge yourself if you're stuck in a situation. It means that it's still playing out and still needs to play out, but be patient and be open with yourself about accepting it and being in the moment. I know it's hard sometimes. So, you could have helped someone in another lifetime, saved their life, or donated a bunch of money to them, or maybe you were a doctor and saved their child, or treated their child when they were sick. Whatever scenario where you were helpful, that person can come back into this lifetime and do something, give something back to you. So karma can play out in very positive ways, supportive ways, helpful ways. People can be here to support you, help you learn, be your teacher. And then sometimes you're here to do something that hurts another person. Hurts because the soul is never hurt, and but the human can feel the hurt, like I said. So you might be playing a role where you do something that really hurts a person. Maybe you may not have done it intentionally, but that was an agreement that you made on the other side, and that soul said, yes, do it. I'm agreeing to this, and I'm up for it. Yes, it's going to hurt me when I'm alive, in a body, but we're going to do this together out of love. So everything is done out of love, even if it doesn't look like it here on the earth plane. Sometimes it can look like the opposite of love, but generally those are soul agreements. So I guess that's it. Everybody in your soul group is a karmic partner. All of these relationships with soul family are karmic. If you don't feel much intensity with somebody, they're probably not in your soul group. I mean, you might only know like 1 or 2 people in your soul group in a lifetime, or you might know like 15. It varies. But you might also be interacting with members of adjacent soul groups, like that tend to kind of work together on themes, and these people might be in your life, but not as intensely, um but you might know them as well. You might be familiar with them and participate in activities together, learning or working or teaching or relationships, all different kinds of things. So just because you're having like a close relationship with somebody doesn't mean that they are in your soul group. So like one time I had a life between lives hypnotherapy session for myself, and the hypnotherapist said, who's in your soul group? I'm sure I wasn't shown everybody, but in that session I saw somebody, a friend from like elementary school, who I didn't know I was going to reconnect with, but I did later, and I actually helped her get pregnant. Because I sent her to a practitioner who would then treat her exactly how she needed to be treated so that she could then get pregnant. And then once that happened, we didn't really stay in touch much longer. So it's interesting that years before I saw her, I'm like, that's interesting. This girl that I knew in elementary school is in my soul group. And then like a few years later, I saw her and I was like, oh my God, hi. And then that unfolded. And then I knew like, oh, you know, she came into my life so I could help her. She desperately wanted to have children and couldn't at the time, for years was trying. And it's interesting. So that must have been in our soul agreement, right? Like, because I had a dream with her before I saw her again. So the session I had was years before, and then like a couple months before I saw her again, I had a dream with her, gave me some information, which I didn't really share with her because it was private, but it was interesting to learn. And then I helped her, you know, get pregnant by sending her to the exact person that helped her uh, get pregnant. So, but that's not even what I was going to bring up. So I saw her, and then I saw my dad in that session when she said, "Who is in your soul group?" Or he or she. Who, it was years ago. That hypnotherapist. I think it was actually a man. And so I saw her, and I saw my dad, and I said, "Oh, there's my dad," and nobody else in that session. But it's interesting because, like, I didn't see my mom, so she might not be in my soul group. I didn't see my brother or my sister. They might not be in my soul group. It's just interesting. We incarnate with family members who are not in our soul group. So you may feel really close to one family member or two, and you might not really feel that much resonance or that much closeness or intensity with other family members. And that's just because they're not in your soul group. And you know, we pick the family to learn what we need to learn, but they might not be in our soul group. There might be one or even none in the family, or more than one. So a lot of the time when I do sessions with people, they go into past lives. I ask when they see a soul, who I say, look into the eyes of that person. When they're in a past life, they're not seeing souls, they're seeing people. And I say, look into the eyes of that person and tell me if you recognize them as a soul, as a person that you know in your current life. And they'll be looking into the eyes of, let's say, their son, and they'll say, oh my gosh, that's my mother in this lifetime, or that's my husband in this lifetime. And we play all those different roles, like, or that's my father. So they'll, or sister, like it, or best friend. So we can, I forgot the train of thought that I was on with that, but basically we play these different roles. We can I remember, like, we can recognize when we go into a past life who is someone that we know now. And those people with the repeating lifetimes, they're usually in our soul group. And sometimes I'll say, okay, now look at your daughter, look into her eyes. Do you recognize her? And sometimes it's like, no, I don't. And that's very common and normal. So about this, I think I'm wrapping it up now about the soul agreements. They're malleable, they're on purpose. You can stay stuck in relationships with people for a period of time because of your soul agreements. You can finally be released from those intense connections once everything has been learned on both sides. It doesn't mean that those relationships end. You can continue relationships, but there's not the same intensity. There's not the same, like, attachment. It's easier. You feel like you can let go more, enjoy more, because the soul agreement has been completed. So, you know, there are soul agreements that could stay for your whole life. Like if someone is meant to take care of you or support you in some way or love you, there are plenty of soul agreements where it's like, okay, we're going to be soulmates in this lifetime and we're going to love each other the whole way through till we die. So there are plenty of those. I'm sure you've seen couples like that where, yeah, they were married for 50, 60 years, or they stayed together, you know, all that time, and they really loved each other. And, you know, that's common. We've seen that a lot. So anyway, that's it about soul agreements, karmic relationships. And actually, I wanted to start sharing something new in these videos that I'm trying out today. I have a company called Radiant Sun Botanicals, and I make products. So the way that company came about is through a hypnosis session. Was the beginning of it, where someone was doing a life between lives hypnotherapy session with me. I was the hypnotherapist, they were the client. The soul spoke through the person. I had never met this woman before in my life. Her soul spoke directly to me and said I was going to be rubbing something golden, like on people, a substance that was like had a golden energy that was going to heal them. And I said, no, I'm not, because I'm an energy healer and hypnotherapist, and I don't rub substances on people. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. But like a year and a half later, my soul, it was like a lightning bolt experience of inspiration that hit me from my soul that was like, oh my God, I'm going to start making products and infuse them with my healing energy, and they're going to heal people so I can spread my healing energy more around the world. And it just like this idea came to me in an instant, and I called my friend and I said, the woman that was channeling my soul in the session, we became friends that day, and because there was a lot of things that happened in that session that were connected to both of us. And so I said, oh, I have an idea, guess what I'm going to do? And I'm going to make products, they're going to have my healing energy in them. And she said, Stephanie, do you remember my session a year and a half ago? And I said, oh my God, I forgot about that. I was never going to do that. I was never going to do that because I don't make products. I didn't. And it just wasn't something I was interested in, like body butter, for example. This is like I was like not interested in that, right? Making things like that. But suddenly when the idea hit me, it was like an obsession. So I spent 9 months perfecting my body butter recipe, and I had never touched body butter. I didn't even know what it was. I did not know what body butter was until this idea came, and I looked up what came to me. And anyway, so I had never touched body butter. I spent 9 months. I have stacks of notebooks perfecting my recipe with the certain amount of butter ratio to oil ratio, and like changing it up, changing and essential oils. So this one is called Sweet Amber, and it is divine. It is made with labdanum. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a resin. A resin is like, when they cut a tree and the sap comes out of the bark, the sap comes out to like heal the tree, but the sap itself is called resin. It's like an amber color, and there are many different kinds from many different plants and trees. This one's actually from the rock rose plant, and it smells divine. It's like a sweet vanilla, very intense, like very sensual scent. And I put other things in here besides that, like tangerine. I can't even remember. Benzoin is another resin. I don't think that one's in here. And I should have looked at, I forget all the Sweet Amber has labdanum, the tangerine, and or it's like blood orange. Yeah. Labdanum, blood orange. I don't remember what else. It's so good. It smells so good. It's a limited supply because I don't think that I'm going to make this again. I have several of these right now. It's a really special one, which is why I'm talking about it. But the labdanum is really expensive, and it's really used in perfumery a lot, which I'm going to talk about now. So I have a lot of different body butters, and you can go to my website, Radiant Sun Botanicals. I'm trying to like let you see it. RadiantSunBotanicals.com. I use exotic butters and oils from around the world, and very high quality essential oils. And people have told me that my body butter is the best they've ever used. And these are body butter experts. They tell me, I've been using body butter for 30 years and I love it and I'm obsessed with it. And yours is the best one I have ever used. And the reason that I spent 9 months developing it is because I didn't want it to feel greasy. I wanted it to feel almost like smooth, and the texture almost like dry going right in, but very moisturizing. I didn't want it to leave a greasy feel, and it doesn't. It's amazing. So I have many different kinds. Go to my website, radiantsunbotanicals.com. But there's something newer that I'm really obsessed with. I was a perfumer in another life, I was in France. I didn't know that until recently. I've been working on perfume, natural botanical perfume. My line is called Notes by Stephanie. Notes meaning in perfumery, you have a top note, a middle note, and a base note when you smell something. So when you first open up a perfume and smell it or spray it or put it on you, you smell the top note first, which it dissipates more quickly, and then you start to smell the middle notes or the heart notes, which can be like florals or different things. And then the base notes are what, after the top and middle notes fade away, the base notes linger, and they're the longer lasting notes of a perfume. So that's why it's called Notes by Stephanie, and it's my perfume line. And so I am obsessed in a good way with making natural botanical perfume with amazing essential oils. It's all natural, nothing synthetic. And the newest one is called Comfort in the Conifers. I mean, Comfort Among the Conifers. And it's a forest scent, and it smells so incredible. I love it so much. It's kind of green because it's got a lot of tree forest. I'll actually read to you forest scents. It has some of the notes are red pine, black hemlock, redwood needle. This is a one of a kind, once in a lifetime distillation of these redwood needles by this one person that picked them in the redwood forest and then had them distilled to make this essential oil. Pinyon pine resin, Peru balsam, which is like a vanilla. It's one of the balsams that come from the tree, like I was telling you before, like a resin. There's resins and balsams that come from trees. It's like that sap that oozes out, and they can smell very fragrant, like vanilla. Orris butter. Orris butter is like the roots of the violet flower. At the bottom, the rhizomes of the violet flower, or sorry, it's iris. The iris flower roots are called orris. Orris roots, and this is orris butter. It's divine. That's in there, and vanilla. So Comfort Among the Conifers is a limited edition solid perfume that I have that's available, and that is lovely, that you can buy on my Radiant Sun Botanicals website. The URL Notes by Stephanie also goes to the same website. So I wanted to just share some perfume that I make, some body butter. Another perfume that I make is called Tea and Mimosa, and it is so lovely. I have a little card here with the notes. The top notes are key lime and cedar leaf. Like, it's very uplifting. And then middle heart notes, we have flowers, the mimosa flower, champaka flower, and carnation flower. And then the base notes are black tea and hay, and that's very soothing and deep and luxurious. I love this tea. And mimosa solid perfume, smells very good. And one more that I wanted to share with you today is called Campfire in late fall, and it's basically smells like a campfire in late fall with like notes of at the so that resinous smoky and then there's like a soft sort of marshmallow vanilla at the end. It's really nice. It's a rich, deep, smoky, resinous autumn campfire in the woods eventually burns down into toasted marshmallows that sweeten the air with soft vanilla. So notes are smoky, resinous, balsamic, woody, vanilla, toasted marshmallow, autumn campfire. So just to share, I have a lot more, and I'll share some in some videos, and they're all on my website. So check out what I've got. I do have my healing energy in all of my products. I have a lot of other body care products, a lot of other perfumes. They're unisex. The ones that I showed you today are all unisex. Men and women love them, and a lot of them are unisex. There's only like maybe one that's extra feminine. It's called Beloved. And so enjoy, and I will see you again in another video. My website for the work that I do, the healing work, is stephaniecraft.com. Check that out for my energy healing sessions and hypnotherapy. See you soon. Bye-bye.